morning and peace be with you. Today is Saturday, April 6, 2020, and it's the high Sabbath of Passover at evening. We're in the midst of the first plague since 1918, or over 100 years. And as I've said before, now more than ever, it's more important to keep the service of Passover and the 7-day feast of unleavened bread. For if you've been watching the news as I do, you'll see that there are more Hebrews that are dying proportionally to this plague than there are any other people. And if you know the scriptures, as it's written in Ezekiel, he said, I will purge out from amongst you those who rebel against me, and you will not enter into the promised land. To purge means to kill. This is a plague. This is a plague of death. He passed through Egypt to smite the firstborn of Egypt, but it's also recorded in the book of Yasher that he also killed those Hebrews who rebelled against him and did not want to go forth. In other words, they loved Egypt and they esteemed themselves even as the Egyptians. So as a part of this short video, I want to explain to you how important it is, again, that Yahuwah's name be written in your heart. Because there's a difference between knowing his name and having it actually guarded and written in your heart. Many have probably heard his name before, but they don't esteem it. It's just a name. Yeah, they'd be like, yeah, I heard that name before, but it really don't resonate or mean anything to them. And that's the difference between a person who's sealed and not sealed. Yahuwah's name is written upon their heart. And thus, those are the ones that can draw near and properly keep Passover. As we see from this example in Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 6. See, scripture is spiritually discerned. And with that, I'm going to also speak about the spiritual aspects of the feast. And it says right here, but at that place which Yahuwah, your God, shall choose to place his name in, there you shall sacrifice the Passover at evening, at the going down of the sun, at the season that you came out of Egypt. And I want to highlight this again. At the place which Yahuwah, your God, shall choose to place his name. And as it's written in these latter days, he was going to write his laws and commands upon our hearts. And the law begins with his name. That is the place he's talking about. If his name is written in you, your heart will be inclined to keep his commandments. See, that which is flesh, and that which is spirit. There are many things that were in the old service that were foreshadowings of things to come. Just like the removing of leaven from your house. Just going up in your cabinet and removing pancake mix and baking soda ain't going to do nothing to change you. That which you eat affects the flesh. But that which comes through the eye, as it is written, for the eye is the light or the lamp of the body, and that which comes into the ear goes into the heart or spirit. So you shall not eat any leaven, and you should also not, even for 7 days. Yes, eat unleavened bread. But there is a physical aspect to this too. Keep the service, but there's also a spiritual aspect. And I see many of you have a heart to foolishness and corrupt communication. Leaven, corruption. Turn away from it for the next 7 days. Remove it from your houses. Don't even let nobody in that are talebearers and gossipers. Foul mouth. You're supposed to set your heart upon his word, which is pure. Not meditate. I hate that word. Pray unto him. Meditate means you communing with yourself, and that's wickedness. You commune with Yahuwah in prayer. So removing leaven from your houses means that even on Facebook and social media, you turn away from them lies, corrupt communications. But guess what? You can't do it if your heart's not with him. If his name is not recorded in your heart, you're gonna see somebody post some garbage and you're gonna indulge in it. You're gonna eat. You're gonna eat it. Take it in. Because remember, the unleavened bread is for the flesh. But what you see And what you hear and partake in affects the spirit. And that's the meaning of that. So I wanted to make this short video. After sunset, I've done a short video on how the service should properly be kept. But then again, it's just not going to mean that much to you. It's going to be just something to do, sort of. But you should also do it out of fear, because the plague is real. And many of our people are fallen. And he knows there's a record in heaven who really esteems his name and fears him. And truth be told, many of you who don't keep the service will probably fall will fall. You don't believe me or know it not. Again, love and esteem his name. And over the next 7 days, showing you how unleavened bread is made. It's actually very tasty. It's very filling. It sustains you. It's a bit of a spiritual and physical diet in a sense. You purge out that old, of excess, of eating what you want in diverse meals, and you just focus on unleavened bread, both physically and spiritually. So I hope that helps you understand, helps your understanding before you go into the 7 days. It can be, what is it called? It can be a challenge. And we have our flaws, and if anything, it may be just to point out your flaws. But try to go through it. Pray on it. Don't indulge corrupt communications, means filthy music, filthy conversation, false pastors, blaspheming his name, that means calling on them false names. You eat those things as well. And that's all leaven. It's vanities, and it harms you. What you look at, think about it. Things you watch, both on TV and on your laptops. So purge that for the next 7 days. Other than that, that's the short video. And that's indeed what it means. In the place where he shall choose to record his name. That's your heart. Only he can put it there. And that's, if you read Revelations chapter 7, that's the seal. And if any of you who have studied understand the meaning of the two items that was put up under the breastplate of the priesthood's garment, it was called the Urim. It was called the Urim and the Thummim. That was actually the name of the Father and the Son. Father and the Son's name. So maybe that'll be for another teacher. So with that, that's all I had to say. It's a little short message for this high Sabbath, which today is a Sabbath, and the Passover begins after sunset. That means after the sun sets and darkness. I tend to keep the service about a half hour after sunset, and over the next 7 days is also holy days. That's why, even when His Majesty was on the cross, it was still a Sabbath day that following day, because it was a feast day of unleavened bread, but it was still a Sabbath. Nevertheless, I hope this short video was helpful.